How to avoid a hair transplant. And this is a picture of me back in 2008. Here is another picture of me a couple months later, and here's other one. And you can see how much hair I did lose in a very short time frame. And now I have full set of hair, and I didn't do a hair transplant. I was able to recover my own hair. So in this video, I'm going to talk about specifics that you can implement to avoid a hair transplant. And for you who are new to the channel, my name is Alex, and I'm previously hair loss sufferer, but I was able to regrow back my own hair, and I'm also a certified trichologist. And today I'm going to share with you 7 steps that you can follow and implement to avoid a hair transplant. And step 1 is very important. It is about taking action early. So you want to basically do something about hair loss when you are noticing more hair fall, you're noticing more hair shedding, you are, for example, noticing that you are not able to style the hair the same way as you used to before. And this is important, right? Because if you are waiting too long and the hair follicles start to become atrophied, it will take much more efforts and time and energy to actually recover them and reactivate the follicles. Like I did this mistake, I was waiting too long to address my hair loss, and it required a much more aggressive approach. It required a lot more time and efforts and energy to actually be able to recover my hair. But if you take action early, you can avoid those problems. Step 2 is to find out what is causing your hair to fall out. Right? And again, there could be multiple factors that could cause hair loss. In most cases, it will be adrenal alopecia, for example, or DHT problem, but it could also be other factors. It could be gut problems, it could be, for example, nutritional deficiencies, it could be scalp problems such as inflammation or dermatitis or fungal issues. It could also be, for example, other things such as food triggers, right? So, or lifestyle factors such as stress. So those things basically can also cause hair to fall out, right? It can affect your DHT sensitivity, it can affect your hair growth cycle, and that's something that could lead to hair loss. And step 3 is about finding the best treatment for the problem, right? And that basically, if there is, let's say, adrenal alopecia, then approach to it would be, for example, if it is early stages to it, so it could be salmeterol, for example, or if one is more DHT sensitive, then likely medications such as finasteride or dutasteride. And if there is, for example, let's say nutritional deficiencies, in most cases, for other guys like me, for example, I had a vitamin D deficiency, which also can cause that hair are basically falling out, and that can also, by the way, cause more conversion to DHT as well, if one is having nutritional deficiency in vitamin D. But basically that's something that has to be addressed, right? And basically you need to find a best approach for the problem. And step 4 is to make sure that there is no other factors that could aggravate your hair loss problem. So make sure that it is just, for example, adrenal alopecia without any other issues that is occurring. Because what will happen is if there is a problem, let's say, for example, nutritional problem or gut problem or scalp problem, it will just make the treatment much less effective, and you are not going to see most benefits from the treatment. So you have to be sure that it is just one single problem. And if there are multiple problems, then of course you need to work on them, right? You need to basically find out if there is a just primary problem or is there secondary problems that you also need to work on and address, because it will affect the treatment and its effectiveness. Step 5 is very important, and it is about staying consistent. Like, and consistency is a big part of success. So if you are not consistent, for example, if you start to skip days or weeks with the treatment, it's just not going to work, right? You're not going to see benefits from it. So you have to stay consistent. And even if you see results from the treatment, you still need to stay consistent, because the hair follicles, they can get used to the treatment, they can start dependent on it. And if you start to slack on applications, for example, or growth stimulant, or skip taking, let's say, medication or supplements for addressing the DHT angle or other parts of cause of your hair loss, like what will happen is that you are going to start to lose gains again, and it will be much harder to recover and also staying motivated to actually address the hair loss. So you want to stay consistent, and you want to basically understand the timelines of different approaches. So for example, if you are blocking DHT, timeline of seeing less hair shedding, for example, of taking finasteride would be around 6 to 8 weeks. Right, and in terms of minoxidil, for example, to see first results in terms of hair regrow, it usually takes around 10 to 16 weeks, depending on how active are your follicles. So this is important to remember. Stay consistent with the treatment to be successful with it. Step 6 is about setting up long-term plan, because again, addressing hair loss is not going to be a short-term solution, you have to plan it out long term. You have to plan out action plan, basically because you are going to stay, for example, if you are taking medication for DHT angle, you're going to stay on that medication for a very long time, or at least as long as you want to keep your hair. So it has to be planned out. You have to structure it, structure your day, structure, for example, the times you apply topicals, when you take medication, for example, so you don't fall off, and it will help you to stay consistent with the treatment, and it just help you to also get best results possible. So planning out and having that long-term goal in terms of hair recovery is important part of the treatment. Step 7 is about maintenance and being aware of setbacks, right? Because setbacks can happen even if you are addressing DHT angle, even if you are using a pot and growth stimulant, you have a perfect scalp environment, you don't have any nutritional deficiencies, no gut problems. Problems can still appear, like setbacks can happen. Let's say, for example, you travel to a warmer climate and there is a lot of sunlight and you suddenly get a sunburn that causes inflammatory problem in your scalp. That can be a setback. It could also be that you are required to take a medication for something, and that can also affect the hair growth cycle and cause that your hair are falling out. Or, for example, you suddenly have a stressful situation that basically triggers telogen epithelium, and that can cause hair loss or affects your hair growth cycle, or something else that affects DHT sensitivity, for example. So things can happen, and you need to be aware of setbacks. But if you are aware of them and you know that your core treatment is working, then addressing those setbacks is not that hard. It is possible to recover from them and keep your hair. So those are 7 steps that I want to share with you in today's video. And for you guys who need specifics and guidance, for example, to address this hair loss problem, you can get a hold of the Rapid Regrow Formal Workbook below in the link. And it will help you basically to recover your own hair, because it has all the essentials you need to regrow your own hair. And other things that I often hear is that why not just skip all those steps and do a hair transplant and take finasteride and be happy with it. But the problem with that is that it's not going to be a solution, right? So basically what happens if you, for example, take a hair transplant, but you haven't addressed the underlying problems, why the hair are falling out, it won't work long term, right? So basically what will happen is that one will need to refill the hair transplant because it will continue thin out, and that again can add a problem to the donor area because it can be over harvested. And other thing is that hair transplant is not going to save existing hair, right? So existing hair can still thin out even if one has done a hair transplant. And also with the hair transplant, I see a lot of guys are still on the treatment. They still, for example, take finasteride, they still apply minoxidil to basically keep it and maintain it. So addressing hair loss from those 7 steps is much more effective way to solve this problem compared to doing a hair transplant. And again, hair transplant is a good option for someone who has, for example, hair loss that is a progressive, slowly progressing over time, or one who is completely bald on top of the head but has a good donor area. Like hair transplant is a good option with a good surgeon. It could be a solution for this kind of problem. But if someone has a more severe hair loss, don't know what is causing the hair loss, one is quite young in the age, for example, then doing a hair transplant can end up in a situation where basically one is not able to solve it with the hair transplant, and it can end up in failure. So those are things I want to share with you in today's video. And for you guys who need more support, or you struggle with the hair loss or the treatment is not working, you can schedule a call. Let's see what is holding you back, why you are not seeing results you are looking for, or what you can do to optimize your treatment and improve it. You can schedule a call and let's talk. Let's see what is holding you back, what you can do right now to recover your hair once and for all. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and see you next time. Cheers.